Hey everyone, it's Lisa from the blog farmhouseonmoon.com, and today I'm going to take you on another day of caring for my home and caring for my family. I love doing these homemaking style videos. Sometimes I make them more pretty and just do a little voiceover, and sometimes I take you into our mess and just share with you as I go. I think you can find value in both. Today is going to be more of the latter. I don't have any voiceovers planned for this one, so I'm mostly just gonna take you through as we have some things to get done around here. It is a cloudy day out today, but it's really warm. So Luke is out milking the cow and the kids are outside as well, which is great. So I can get a few things done in here. I just finished cleaning up the kitchen, so I'll spare you that from breakfast. I have my kefir smoothie. I have broth to strain, kefir to strain, bread to bake, and then I wanna get started on lunch as well. So first things first, for the bread, I had Erin from the Cedar Chest Farm on my podcast yesterday. Actually, the episode wasn't out yesterday, but we chatted yesterday, we recorded for it. And she is a sourdough expert, and we were talking a little bit about our favorite recipes, and she was saying that she likes to get bread going the night before. She just kneads it with her dough hook and lets it rise, shapes it, and bakes it in the morning. It's like a really no-fuss way to get bread on the table every day without stretching and folding. So I decided to try that last night. This morning I just shaped them and put them into 2 bread pans. They've been rising on the stove for about an hour, and now I'm gonna get them in the oven. This is kefir. If you're brand new to my channel, you might not know about this. If you've been around a while, you've seen me strain kefir more times than you probably care to. So we take our raw milk and set it over some kefir grains. They look like this. They're just little globs of probiotic goodness. And it gets really thick, and then you strain it off and repeat again. We've been doing this for a decade, and it just really helps with gut health, and it's good. It's a really easy breakfast. We did pancakes this morning, but I always like to have a big kefir smoothie, and then usually the kids, we kind of make these a little bit later a lot of times, so when the kids come back in, they're gonna all sit up here and have one. They don't drink near the amount that I do. I normally drink a large amount of it. They usually don't. Now this will just sit out for a day or 2, depending on how thick it's getting. I like to let it get pretty darn thick. I've been making 2 gallons at a time, but we still have some kefir in the fridge, so I'm actually just gonna strain the second one off and not get another batch going. I'll show you how thick this ends up. It's kind of like yogurt, but a little bit thinner. You can see it's pretty thick, perfect for smoothies. It literally sits on the counter. You don't have to worry about the temperature or anything. Now you could leave this out to ferment further, because since it's filled with so much probiotics, it would just keep fermenting. But at this stage, I always like to put it in the fridge, label it with a K so we know kefir, and then go from there. Okay, while I have the same setup out, I use the exact same thing to strain off my broth. It's just a vegetable and chicken broth. Chicken feet, which you've heard about on here many a time if you watch. I'm just gonna set this aside. I think I'm gonna make a soup for dinner tonight. For lunch today, I'm gonna do something that I've forgotten about for a while. This is something we used to make more often, and the other day I wasn't sure what we were gonna make for dinner, and we had some of this einkorn pasta. I have sausage from my sister's farm. So I'm gonna make my einkorn pasta hamburger helper. Now it's really just like mac and cheese, but with burger, and in this case, sausage. It's even better with sausage. So I'm going to boil up my einkorn noodles. I'm gonna cook 2 pounds of this sausage. Whenever I make this, I like to make double the amount that we probably will eat, so that way we can eat it in 2 meals. So last time I did this, that's what I did. I made enough that we could have 2 meals out of it. Now what's great about this is after the noodles and the meat are done, I had a child take a bite out of this cheese. Just add shredded cheese, butter, milk, egg yolks. We have our own chicken, so I feel comfortable with eating them this way. I also add a little Dijon mustard, and then last time we made this, we've always added nutmeg, but last time we actually did fresh nutmeg, and it was just so good. Also last time I had some garlic herb butter that I had made in the fridge from like the week before. So it was very flavorful. I added that in. Don't have that this time, but it was great because it was a good way to get raw garlic. So if you ever need to get raw garlic into your family for the health benefits of it, if you're dealing with a sickness of some kind, that is a good way, I've discovered. If they're eating, of course. But yeah, you can put a whole bunch of raw garlic in here. Nobody seems to notice. So in the last hour, I've used the same pot and strainer, 3 different applications. I like doing that so I don't have to give them a thorough wash. I can mostly just rinse them if it's something that you need to go from like kefir to broth. But from broth to this, I don't even need to wash it before straining this. And so it just really cuts down dishes if I'm able to figure out how to batch those kind of dishes into several applications. I forgot to set a timer, so I don't even know how long it's been in here.
The timer is... Where are you?
Looks good.
Where are the timers?
The timer I did not set at all.
Where are
We'll
the
eat
timers?
this later today with some soup. Rumble. Gonna need a little bit more milk. This secret ingredient is the fresh nutmeg. Also gonna add salt and pepper. Then I'm just gonna taste it, see how it tastes. Add my sausage, and then this meal can just sit on the stove till it's, I'm making this a little bit early right now, till it's lunchtime, but it's ready to go. And that is my favorite thing, if possible. If I get any time in the morning to do that, I prefer it, because then whenever it's lunchtime, we can just eat whenever we want. I guess because I'm on camera, I completely forgot something. I normally do 2 boxes of the pasta for the 2 pounds of meat. So I'm just gonna add half the meat. We'll just eat this for lunch, and then I'll have meat for tomorrow for breakfast, which is also great. I wanna say thank you to today's video sponsor, Benjamin Moore. It's kind of a dream come true to work with them, because we have loved using Benjamin Moore paints forever. In our last house, whenever we bought it over 14 years ago, we lived in a town that actually had one little local hardware store, and they were Benjamin Moore retailers. So our entire first house was painted with Benjamin Moore paints. I remember I was like 8 months pregnant with Ruth, our firstborn, and we painted everything from cabinets to trim to doors to walls. Everything in that house needed to be painted. And what I love most about using Benjamin Moore paints is they are very high quality. So with the Regal Select interior paint and primer in one, it's really possible to get it all done in one coat. Actually, this room that we just did here was done in one coat, and as Luke was applying it, he was saying, really love that this paint is so thick and it goes on in one coat. I'm like, hey, save that for the camera. But we genuinely love this paint. We also used a Benjamin Moore color in our pantry makeover. It was called Benjamin Moore Carolina Gull. I love that they have over 3,500 unmatchable colors, and they make their own ingredients, so you can't match their colors in another brand of paint. Although the paint is a little bit more expensive than the off brands, it'll save you money in the long run, just because what you can get done in 1 or 2 coats with a Benjamin Moore paint might take 3 or 4 with a lesser quality paint. They have paints for every nuance of your house. So they have floor paint, they have paint for wall, tile. My younger sister actually has a studio for her Etsy business, and she rented a place that has really ugly tile. She painted it and she could not believe how well it held up. She used the Benjamin Moore paint for that and just swears by it. There are 7,500 Benjamin Moore retailers independently owned. So when you buy Benjamin Moore paint, you can feel good about supporting a local business. I know that's what I did with both in our new town and our old town. I found a little hardware store that I could source the paint from. You can find Benjamin Moore for your next project. Visit the link in the description box below. For this room, I really wanted to highlight the color of the trim. So we have this beautiful ornate Victorian trim. It has these very interesting, they look like king crown moldings, and they really blended in with the original color that we chose. It was also a Benjamin Moore color. I really like it in some rooms. It just didn't do this room justice, and so I wanted it to go a little bit darker. Now, I didn't want to go full-blown color. The reason for that is when you're standing in our kitchen, it's kind of hard to see, but when you're actually here, you're in the kitchen. At some point in history, this house was really opened up. It originally would have been closed off, but at this point it's opened up and we didn't really want to change the layout. And so you get a lot of rooms in one sight line. And so it was hard for me to decide, how can I put color in without it being like green, blue, just in a row. So I kind of had some ideas. I actually just told my husband this morning. I want to paint the stairwell green, and then I want to wallpaper the entryway. So it'll be like a nice transition, and it just made sense for this room to not be too crazy colored. Also, I didn't like how when you're standing in the kitchen with the original colors I chose, there's no definition of the room. So I had this balance of, I want to define each space, because when you're in the kitchen, you see to the entry, the stairwell, and this room all at one time. So I wanted them to flow, but I also need more definition than what I currently had. This color, which I ended up going with Cedar Key, I'm gonna turn the brightness down so you can see this better, is the perfect balance. I really took my time this time around and ordered some paint samples and put them on the wall. I actually ended up ordering 4 different paint samples, and I didn't go with any of them. I really liked the bottom one here. It's called, this second to bottom. It's called Smoky Taupe, and I was set on that. I put it on Instagram, and somebody said you should really dilute that halfway with white because it'll be way more tan when you get it up there than you think. So whenever I got to the paint store, I picked up the card that had my Smoky Taupe on it. I also had a sample for Stone Hearth, which is on the same card, it's just down further. And I just went one up from Smoky Taupe, which was Cedar Key. I really like it. I really think it looks great in here, but I do think I could have gotten away with Stone Hearth or Smoky Taupe just because this room is so insanely bright. Right now on my camera, I only have it, if you're a photographer, on ISO 200, so that's really low, and I actually still look kind of blown out here. It has a south-facing picture window, and so this room, it just could deal with a darker color and be just fine. So you never know, I may go darker at some point, but this was a major improvement. I really love this color. I think if you have a room that is not as light filled and you want a nice taupe that doesn't read gray. See, that was my biggest issue, is I picked a bunch of samples and some of them looked very beige online, but then when they were in this room, they read just completely gray. And so I really wanted it to read beige, not gray, define my trim, and I really think I got it with this color. I really love it. We also hung some curtains. I showed you in a recent video that I took cheap curtains. These are actually cheap tab top curtains, and just sewed some pleater tape right over top of it. Added pleater hooks, which I still have to do a few more, which is why I'm showing you this. Added the pleat hooks, then the same rods that I have going on in our neighboring bedrooms, so that it all kind of flows together. And it really elevates the space. Actually, 2 of my children said, it looks so much taller in here. And I'm like, that's what I wanted, because I felt like everything was just stuck to the floor in here. Nothing brought your eye up. And I did not want to cover up the trim. But by hanging it really wide on some of the windows, we don't yet have the long rod, it's on back order. But the picture window, it'll be so wide, you'll see the trim on the side. I made the trim super wide on one of the windows, but I couldn't make it wide on the corner ones just because it's a corner. But the ones that are really wide, you can still see the trim and it elevates the space. I really like it. I also have tons of plans for furniture rearrangement. I need to get a couple more chairs. Ideally, they'll be vintage, and so it might take a little bit, but I definitely have a vision for how this whole space is going to turn out. So this is going to become a bookshelf, and these have to go places. So I think I'm going to take things like pictures and soup tureens and move them in other places around the house. So places where they'll be pretty decoration, but a lot of the plates unfortunately are going to just go in boxes for now. So until I have another dining room, this is just how it's going to have to be. I don't have any space in the kitchen. I will keep them though, because I can see wanting them again someday, but right now there's really just no current use for them, unfortunately. These will go in the kitchen, actually. These are great for vlog photography because they're plain white. Mugs like this could definitely go in the kitchen. We use these for our espresso. They get broken a lot, but they're also really cheap, so they're gonna go to the kitchen, unfortunately, to be used and then die. We're getting the curtain rods out of the boxes with curtain rods laying in here. I'm ready to finally get this living room put back together and not just the storage place for future plans and dreams. So I want to have Luke help me hang a lot of this stuff today, so that way it just gets out of piles everywhere. I decided to keep several things out just because I know if I put them in the basement, I'm never gonna see them again. And there's a few things I just want to be able to use sometimes. So we're gonna put them in here. And if I get sick of them, I'll move them. Okay, that one did not stack well, so I'll probably take that one out. All right, tonight for dinner, I'm going to be making a soup with broccoli, potatoes, carrots, onion, sort of a broccoli cheddar soup, but with the addition of carrots and potatoes, so it should be really good. I'm going to start by cooking up some bacon in my stock pot here so that it can release some of the fat so that I can then saute some of my chopped veggies in that. Adding a bit of flour to thicken it, and then I'm just going to add some milk and cheese to make it creamy. Serve it with bacon and a little bit of sourdough bread that I started last night. Sorry, it's loud in here. Are you boys stealing my bacon?
Yeah.
Always?